our country didn't have enough issues dividing us. So now we have to deal with the issue of abortion. And it is quite an issue. The issue of whether this is an issue for the Supreme Court in and of itself is an issue. Is this for the states? Is it for the individual person? There was time we didn't have to worry about issues like this, but now health and medical issues are becoming de rigueur because we're living in an age unlike any before. We Jews used to know that when it came to a decision in regard to our bodies, Rosh Hashanah Yikasevun, over Yom Tzom Kippur Yechasemun. On Rosh Hashanah it is written, and on Yom Kippur it is sealed, who shall live and who shall die, who by earthquake and who by fire. It was all in the hands of God. Now we have to ask who by morphine and who by dehydration, who by renal dialysis and who by stopping alimentation, who by pacemaker and who by transplant, who by emission and who by tabulation, who by respirator and who by disconnecting the respirator. This has been pointed out that we have a power that our ancestors never dreamt of. We have the power today that only God had before. So, what does God in our tradition have to tell us in regard to this? Well, interestingly enough, an answer is found in this week's Torah portion of Behar, where we come across some simple words that have profound meaning. The Torah tells us, "V'chei achicha imach," that your brother may live with thee. We are told this in regard to not charging interest payments, but our sages saw this as being a statement that dictated, who shall live and who shall die. The Talmud tells a story that provides one of the greatest well-known debates in all of Talmudic literature. The Talmud tells us, Shnayim shahayu mahalchen baderach. Two people are traveling together in the desert. One of them has a flask filled with water, and the other one does not have any water. But the one who has water, it's only enough for one person. If they drink equally, then both of them will die. If only one drinks, he's going to live, but his friend will die. So what's the rule? What should be done? Answers one sage named Ben Petura, better both should drink and both should die. Ben Petura feels that to live in a world where you're watching people die makes life meaningless. But Rabbi Akiva, one of the greatest of our sages, comes along and disagrees. You drink the water. You make sure you survive. Why? Because of these words. That thy brother may live with thee. Which Rabbi Akiva understands to mean chayecha kodmin l'chayecha bercha. Your brother to live with, for your brother to live with thee means you first must live. Your life takes precedence over the life of your friend and neighbor. And ultimately, Jewish law agrees with the decision of Rabbi Akiva. To Rabbi Akiva's way of thinking, man cannot be relied upon to decide when and for which cause to offer his life. It's not an individual decision that any one person can make. Why? Because contrary to the oft expressed philosophy of our day, man does not have complete control over his own body. It's not his or hers to do with as he sees fit. Our body is God's gift to man. And so this brings us directly to abortion. Is Judaism pro-abortion? You hear many say yes. Is Judaism anti-abortion? You hear some say so. But the truth of the matter is, we're more against abortion than pro-abortion. And I think if people would think about this a little bit, they might see that we're all closer together in thinking on this. I believe in the sacredness of life. And I believe that the fetus in the mother's womb is at least potential life. And so abortion can never be a casual or callous thing. It shouldn't simply be used as another form of birth control. And at the same time, I have to say that the health and life of the mother, the sanity of the mother must come first. She's got to live. And if her life is in danger, she comes first. The mother is a person. The fetus is not yet a person. Let me read you these words from Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, the most level-headed of contemporary Orthodox thinkers. Rabbi Sachs points out the distinction not only in abortion, but also in how we determine our values. Christians adopted Philo's understanding of life, and Christians therefore believe that once the fetus is formed, then it is a person, and it is murder to affect that fetus. But the Jewish perspective is different. A fetus might not be a person in Jewish law, but a potential person, and must therefore be protected. In Judaism, abortion is not murder. In Catholicism, it is. In Judaism, abortion is not simply a definition of approval or disapproval coming from a Supreme Court, or even from the person themselves, but from God Almighty. The person's life, the mother's life, comes first. If the mother's life is threatened. Shabbat Shalom.